So I'm still having people ask me on persuasive topics in regards to For Honor and what can be done to save it in the state that it's in. And I have a lot of folks telling me that rank play is going to bring you back, CJ. I swear to God, you should totally play the game again, bro. Let me tell you something. Rank play is going to kill the game faster with the current iteration. I heard they're reworking Revenge, which is cool, but also kind of irrelevant since Revenge only really affects 4v4 game modes, and a majority of players, at least the ones I know, rarely touch 4v4, so the problems in For Honor go past Revenge. However, I will admit that if they do this right, the whole ganking situation in the game will be reduced drastically, as you'll be less courageous about ganking someone who will deep dick you and your homeboy with constant revenge pops. As for rank play, the reason why it won't work is pretty simple in my opinion. That whole additive I've always talked about in my videos about how people nowadays do not wish to enjoy the journey to greatness, rather, they so simply wish to obtain the title of greatness with minimal effort and are willing to lie their way to the throne. Basically, people are cheap, people are scummy, and people are too lazy to learn beyond themselves. I've seen these types of people rampant in my comment section, and they're rampant on the game as well. They just exist, to be honest. With that being said, the current state of For Honor, all you're gonna have is people doing whatever it takes to win, playing as cheaply as possible, abusing everything they can from the defensive meta to ganks to cheap tactics like spamming and throwing off ledges. I'm not an honor fag or whatever the fuck shitty players call people who want a decent fight, but the copious levels of fuckery in For Honor as is only going to quantify as ranked matches are released. People are already pulling fuck shit to win off ego alone. Now there's a status I can show off to others? Boy. So my thing is, everybody has an avenue of blame they approach For Honor with. Me included, I can't lie. I've been pointing fingers this whole time. But no one has any concrete solutions or ways to potentially fix the game. So I decided, hey, why not take the time to conjugate some ideas together on how to fix For Honor, and how to make it an enjoyable experience and more quality of life of the game overall. So, this is my top 5 ways to potentially fix For Honor, starting from least important to most. Number 5. Remove microtransactions. Yes, do that. Number 4. Actually, I should probably take the time to explain that, shouldn't I? Okay. See, this is a personal pet peeve. I have no idea how many of you are actually as fed up with this procedure as I am, but I find it sickening that there's so much revolving around the steal system that I could just buy with real money. Microtransactions cheapen the experience of leveling up.
Around we go!
I don't have to grind to get the best gear, nor do I even have to play the game, technically, to acquire all cosmetic items for a single character. There's always a devil's advocate for shit like this. Well, it's money I earned, so I could choose how to spend it. True. If you want to waste money on cosmetic items, go ahead, bros. Just know you haven't earned shit through progression and triumph from the game. It's more of a novelty you bought so you look cute while you get fucked by a dude wearing all starter gear with 800 hours in the game. To add to that frustration, the search for perfect stats and gear is also shot short when you realize someone can literally buy their entire loadout with steal purchases. It forces us broke niggas to make a decision. Do I continue to progress naturally while steel drips in like a leak from a faucet because bounties are more stingy than Mr. Krabs? Or do I buck down and buy some marketplace cash to purchase them shit so I can stay competitive? Which I'm sure many of you have buckled down like I did and wound up doing just that. Basically removing the lingering stink of microtransactions and including everything in an integrated leveling system adds not only a sense of immersion, but a sense of value, pride, and rarity as you floss and rock what otherwise is unobtainable without merit and persistence in the game. Why not have a gold or diamond Valkyrie spear after winning X amount of fights flawlessly, or after X amount of executions? I feel like developers show their ass for practices like these. It tells me you're more concerned about the cheese in my wallet than the loyalty in my investment. Number 4, better lore. Seriously, this game is boring as shit, in my opinion. This is another personal preference. Everyone has their own, obviously, but my personal opinion, I find For Honor to be a really flat game in terms of depth through story and world space. It reminds me of Destiny 1 in the sense that the developers are sort of willing to stretch the reality of the situation in terms of aesthetic inspiration, but in terms of lore, at least in For Honor's case, it's ridiculously generic. There is not one single thing about For Honor lore or story-wise that compels me. Literally zero. Consequently, there's nothing that I as an individual find about For Honor that's so unique it keeps my loyalty. If there was another company who took For Honor's formula, improved or perfected it, and called it I don't know, 4 Valor, I would just switch to that. And I'm pretty sure just about everyone playing the game would. But because they can't find another game like For Honor, we simply stick to it. That's not good. The only reason why your game is competitive in this market is because there's no competition. Let me ask y'all something. You ever heard of a sarsaparilla outside of Fallout in Vegas? Probably not, right? But in the 1920s, that drink was like today's Coca-Cola, dog. So you're probably asking, then what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Coca-Cola happened. It was like the only soft drink at the time. It was a watery sugar drink, like cream soda, but shitty. Pretty shitty in today's standards. So as soon as something newer and better came out, it was fizzled out. Kind of like how Anthem setting up to do the Division, but that's another story. With that being said, it's not enough that you improve game mechanics. Give me a reason to view For Honor as more than an overpriced multiplayer exclusive. I want lore, a story, compelling characters. How the fuck can I grow sentimentality with my Valkyrie when 99% of the character roster has partially or their entire face covered? I'm a fantasy guy, right? Imagine if we had an orc as a warlord, a minotaur as the raider, an ogre as the Shigoki, a witch as the Nabushi, an elf as the peacekeeper, flaming swords and staffs and spells and incantation, projectile abilities are fucking just black magic or some shit, you know? That's just my personal preference, but still, you know. You can set up backstories and lore that drops us as the players into a game that feels like I'm stepping into an already established world, rather than dead servers anyway. Number 3, get oh man, it's fucking my throat up. Give me more shit to do. For Honor has like what? 5 game modes? 1 single player game mode, 1 2-player game mode, and 3 4-player game modes. And one of those 4-player game modes, if we can be real, is an inferior version of another 4-player game mode. I'm not asking For Honor to become some open world experience, but how fun would it be if we had like a capture the flag game mode, where a team runs to steal an enemy team's bag of gold like Red Dead Redemption. You can carry up to 2 bags to secure 2 captures. And if you like carry 1 bag, you can still fight with double stamina cost on all attacks, and speed reduced by 25%, or carry 2 bags, and speed is reduced by 50%, and all you can do is guard incoming enemies. Make it that way so a peacekeeper can't just grab the bag and fucking skedaddle across the map. Or a wingman game mode, where it's 4 teams of 2 fighting each other in a 2-man free-for-all mode, or a rumble match where 5 players all drop in the same location and gotta fight each other to the death in 1v1s, or a King of the Hill game mode, where you can choose to spectate or participate in an endless rotation of 1v1 fights. There's way more you can do with a game like For Honor, and no one has yet to do it. Honestly, that's lame. Give me variety. That's it. That's really it. Number 2, dedicated servers and 60 fucking frames. This is easily the most beat down flaw about For Honor, but player-to-player connectivity is just fucking garbage. Again, this game is a heavily multiplayer replayability reliant game with combat that requires both timing and reaction speeds. If my character is fighting someone that looks like they're getting possessed by an Agent Smith, I'm kinda shit out of luck in terms of playability. As someone with 768 hours in the game, I can confirm you learn less going through shit like that. Also, if you want this game to go anywhere, I seriously mean that, competitive or just not to die in general, I'm gonna need 2 things. 1, servers to play on that are managed and upkept. 2, performance. Everybody who's played For Honor on PC said this is like a completely different world. So knowing that console players are basically playing the less competitive version of For Honor, where half the attacks are faster than a naked eye can comprehend in a laggy 30 FPS environment, I would say for the sake of this game being a serious thing, well, second verse same as the first. Number 1, break the fucking defensive meta. I feel like out of all the things to save this game, you have to break its biggest crutch, the thing that makes the gameplay the most unbearable next to the players themselves. The defensive meta in this game ensures that any character out of Assassins can basically extend the length of what should otherwise be a one-sided or short fight with the wiggle of their right fucking thumbstick. Right now, the only way around said meta is parry punishes and guard break spam. Everything else is subjected to receive heavy defensive play followed by light attack or non-directional spam. Bulwarks like Conqueror, Warlord, and Lawbringer can casually block 90% of all attacks with minimal effort and simultaneously chip you down or straight chunk you depending on your stamina. Top tier characters in For Honor are top tier for 4 reasons in my opinion. Their defense, their non-directional / unblockables, their stamina management, and they're helpful. The only exception to this was Peacekeeper because of her unbearable speed. Warden has been knocked down a peg, Peacekeeper as well, but the Warlord, Conqueror, Centurion, and slowly, even though I respect players like Spliced, Lawbringer are all characters who completely dominate because of those 4 traits. The only character near the top who doesn't is the Raider in my opinion. So you're probably wondering which one of these 4 traits could we look at to dismantle the defensive meta? In my opinion, the biggest one, stamina management. Stamina in For Honor is multi-purposeful in the sense that it works like gas in a car. You run out of stamina, your abilities are drastically hindered, and you're stuck trying to flail slowed down attacks with almost all of your offensive attacks hindered or unusable. And the slowed down movement speed is pretty impressive for what it does. This sounds about right, but the problem with being out of stamina is when you have characters that can keep you out of stamina. Warlord, Lawbringer, Centurion, Conqueror, Shinobi, they all do this staggeringly well. Warden pre-patch used to do it really well, extremely well, with the shoulder bash mix-ups, but they're not really there anymore. Being able to semi-permanently keep my character in a weakened state basically ensures you the victory, unless you do some dumb shit that gives me time to recover and dominate, right? So consequently, characters who can block a majority of attacks fish for out-of-stand punishes, or they simply turtle and rely on their non-directionals to secure guaranteed or free hits. Ubisoft is making it so in this next patch you're basically a free target when you run out of stamina, which is, in my opinion, is only going to exaggerate the defensive meta. Chip damage is cute and all, but the moment my opponent runs out of stamina, I'm finna absolutely dominate them as one of the top tier characters because they're literally built around out-of-stand punishment. My solution? Well, there's 3 possible ways to go about rearranging how the defensive meta works, and I'll explain each one. Number 1, blocking costs stamina, and blocking heavy attacks does stamina chip damage. Simple fix, really. If you turtle up too hard, you're going to go into no stamina mode quicker than your opponent who's chipping away at your defense. This will force a turtle to manage stamina to a point where they have to proportion the amount of blocking they do, as well as choose when to parry and when to flee. Force players to engage through unforgiving failsafes put in the game in case someone gets too leisurely relying on one mechanic. Number 2, borrow script from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So the way Xenoverse 2 manages stamina is this, right? It's going to be kind of wonky to explain, so I'll try my best. All of your evasive abilities and whatnot use stamina, and when you reach low stamina, you don't go back into stamina break mode. Rather, you have to let your stamina charge back up, which severely hinders yourself before you can use your greater moves, right? So it kind of works like For Honor does now, except sort of you don't automatically go into stamina break mode like you do in For Honor when you expunge stamina. The 3 ways to hit stamina break is to use moves that force you into stamina break. I break your guard, or I interrupt a charged attack, which throws you off balance, which breaks you into stamina mode or stamina break mode. The first and third options are what I would apply to For Honor. Stamina break should occur when you're blocking and I throw out either a non-directional or a power attack like an overhead heavy, or something that breaks your guard and puts you in stamina break mode. In Xenoverse, no matter what I do afterwards, stamina automatically regens. However, while you're in that state, you're susceptible to everything. And, you know, the larger the stamina pool, the more time it takes for stamina to recharge. I would ignore that though. I would just give stamina a universal cooldown where in no stamina mode, your abilities are hindered even further than they are now. I would make it, I don't know, so that all you can do in no stam mode is block attacks at the cost of chip damage, counter guard break, and staggered dodge. So if you're baited into a sidestep, I can get an out of stand punish, because let's be real, out of stand punishes are fucking tremendous. So I don't think they should be as accessible as they are now. And the third one is actually not my own idea. It's borrowing a script from Super Smash Bros. I was browsing a video in my recommended comments section, and one of the top comments proposed a really good idea in terms of breaking the defensive meta. Honestly, I think a better and more realistic approach is to add a defense stamina, or as my friend called it, stagger bar. And real medieval combat, blocking and attackers isn't going to hurt, so it will be unrealistic to have high chip damage. But what blocking does do is it wears you down. Blocking 10 heavy blows in a row will take a toll on you. A stagger bar, which builds up with continuous blocking, and as the bar refills, will result in a similar way to being guard broken, where you are open for an attack. This way, you can still block a few attacks without worrying about losing a bar of health, but be completely turtling will open you up. He goes on to say how it works similarly in Smash, to give an example, but this is a really intelligent system for how blocking works in For Honor. Punishing a player who refuses to initiate otherwise will only give him so many blocks before he's forced to react on an encounter. It basically goes off the philosophy with my prior 2 suggestions, which is basically that turtling up should allow me to get free hits after a certain point. It should allow me to break that guard, and I should be able to engage in a free punish. Nothing too heavy, but it should make you concerned about your stamina usage. You understand me? I don't really have much else to add to his explanation, but what I will say is that breaking down the defensive meta is a crucial step in making a game better, as 50% of what's wrong with this game is the defensive meta and its functionality. If you get rid of what I feel is the largest hurdle, along with dedicated servers and a poopy community, the rest of his issues will follow suit with no hesitation. I'm gonna scope out For Honor and its developmental status, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm interested to see it make a comeback. It might pull the Rainbow Six Siege, but for now, I'm simply a community pillar trying to talk to the people who still give a shit, because I know a lot of them already left. This has been Archwizard CJ. I wish you all a good morrow, and I'm off for the time being.